Hello and welcome back to live coverage. This is the wrong. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Modern Open here at Apex Con. We're here for the Sunday Modern 5K. We had one yesterday. I'm Tandy, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
I always forget to do that. I don't always forget to do that. I usually remember to do that, but I almost forgot to do it.
You got there.
We got 5 rounds down. We are about to start round number 6. Ross, why don't you give us a rundown of what we're going to be watching as these two players fight it out?
Well, we're going to start with 2-4-1. So players are looking to get that fifth win and potentially draw in the last round. We saw yesterday most of our 5-1s having to play in the last round, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, these players are 4-1 and need to win this round. Up first is Matt Sims playing Mardu Energy. This is the list that has Thoughtseize in the main. No copies of those Obnixilis that we saw in the other Mardu build last round. Up against Slavisa Tasanovic, who we saw earlier. This is one of our Dimir control players. So a Dimir deck playing the One Ring, has Psychic Frog and Orcish Bowmasters as early threats, and then a lot of counter spells, though Slavisa, instead of playing Archmage's Charm like Brendan Lane, has a couple copies of Drown in the Lock, which will be a lot more helpful against the Boros deck as you really want cheap removal against all of their early creatures. That said, I think a list that relies as heavily on counterspells as this Dimir deck does is going to struggle against a deck with so many cheap creatures in Mardu Energy.
Yeah, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Psychic Frog to play both offense and defense. You know, I've played Magic a long time. I remember fighting against Psychotog when it was in like standard, and boy, it was very hard to kill with red cards, and it was very hard to attack into, and it was very difficult to block profitably. So a
Yeah.
lot of those factors coming into play here with Psychic Frog, and it's going to need to really play some good Magic.
Yeah, we watched Psychic Frog be aggressive in most of the matchups where it's been played. This is one where it is firmly playing defense, at least until Tasanovic establishes control of the game. I will note that Sims' list does only have 2 copies of Static Prison, so relying more heavily on the red removal that matches up poorly against Psychic Frog, 4 Galvanic Discharge, and 3 Lightning Bolt in the main deck for Sims. But really, the early turns for him are going to focus more on getting these cheap creatures onto the battlefield. The Ocelot Prides, the Guide of Souls, the Ajani Nikadal Pariahs. And, could potentially just go wide around a Psychic Frog and defeat it that way.
Alrighty, well, the players are situated and ready in the feature ranch area, so let's head on down for round number 6. Players this round will be likely punching their ticket to top 8 with a win. 5-1 can often draw the last round. It's usually whatever the number of rounds is. Let's say it's 7 rounds. Usually you need 5 wins very early in order to make it to the elimination rounds. And at the Pro Tour specifically, they started doing something where it's like a race to a certain point number. Maybe at some point in the future that becomes standardized in tournaments. I would personally like that a bit because the intentional draws at the end of the tournament always grind on me a little bit. All right, just a land for both players on turn 1. No pressure for Matt Sims' Mardu Energy. We're going to go back to Slavisa. Going to go fetching. Likely going to go get Undercity Sewers. Maybe trying to play a Psychic Frog on turn 2 to get some pressure down.
Yeah, another turn 1 without a 1-drop from these energy decks. Seen
What
that
you get
happen
when
a
you
lot.
don't play Ragavan. You got to play 12 ones. I don't think you can play black and play 12 ones, which is why I personally like the regular Boros versions better. And I'm a big fan of Blood Moon in the Boros version.
Yeah, Blood Moon has put in some work today.
All right, Slavisa sees a 1 ring on top of the deck. Do you want to keep it or do you want to put it into the grave? Says, I like it. Already got lands rolled up, I guess.
Yeah, if you have lands in interaction, ring is the last piece of the puzzle.
Okay, back to Matt Sims. Let's see what the turn 2 play is. Could be Shot Go Orcish Bowmaster. Put a little pressure on those counter spells, but no, we're going to lead off with Thoughtseize. 1 mana floating. Maybe going to play Ocelot or Guided Souls after. Here's a Bowmaster from Slavisa in response. Pretty aggressive Bowmaster here.
Does Sims have a 1-drop to follow this up? Just
I don't
couldn't
know.
play it on turn 1 because he had the No, well, he fetched the Parlor, so if there's no 1-drop to...
No, Parlor put Marsh Flats into the graveyard.
Okay. So yeah, maybe it's just had the 1-drop, but Parlor made his mana awkward.
Yeah. That Static Prison can use that to just gain 2 energy and kill the token, maybe?
So Thoughtseize reveals the 1 ring. Looks like Psychic Frog, Spell Snare, and is that Shieldred?
It is Shieldred. Keeping that ring on top seems extra greedy.
Yeah, only had the 2 lands.
Alright, Spell Snare is the take. So we got
Yeah.
Shieldred, Ring Frog.
Sims has the Static Prison to answer the Frog, and no real need to take the 4-drops when Slavisa is stuck on 2 lands.
And here's Ocelot Pride. 1 mana, 1/1 first strike. Does check Bowmaster and the token. Here's the Frog. And we do find land number 3. So one more and we will get the ring online. And it will put egg in mine and Ross's face.
It's a Bowmasters off the top for Sims, so could take care of Slavisa's Bowmasters and then crash in with the Ocelot Pride. Well, no, Psychic Frog will stop that. So we need... We can static Prison the Psychic Frog, then crash in.
Frog down, get 2 energy. And now we can attack, and if there's a double block, we could blow it out. But my guess is Slavisa just going to take it, as he does.
Yeah, sniffs this out from a mile away. And yeah, Sims knows the 2 cards in Slavisa's hand, so might as well get the Bowmasters down, make sure it resolves, as opposed to running it into a potentially top-decked counterspell.
Yep.
And then we'll go to the end step and get a token from the Ocelot Pride, since he gained a life in combat. With the Orcish Bowmasters, Sims will be up to 7 permanents. The token will be permanent 8, so 2 short of the City's Blessing.
Yeah, once that City's Blessing gets going, it gets real gross. But
goes
not really even afraid of the Orcish Bowmasters on the other side. So we can play this Static Prison for 1, and that'll give us 2 energy back, and we'll eat the 1/1 token. But Matt Sims says, no thanks.
Seems like that was just free.
I agree. Here's land number 4.
Just runner.
And because there's no Bowmaster on the other side, we get to draw this card for no punishment. We're going to go back to Matt Sims. I think we forgot the 1/1 token as well, because we didn't attack. Okay, here is another Ocelot Pride.
Yeah, Slavisa reminding Sims he's got to pay an energy for the Static Prison.
Says go, but the 1 ring is given protection, so it makes some sense. Slavisa, going to take 1 from the burden counter, draws a card for turn. Taps low for a Shieldred. This in tandem with the 1 ring can gain some life, but not even going to activate yet. Just going to say go. Missing on the land drop. Sniffs out the Bowmaster, and now Matt Sims in a tough spot. If he had played that Bowmaster main phase at any point in the last 2 turns, could have prevented the 1 ring from doing a whole lot of damage, but now just stuck leaving mana to rot.
Matt thinking about playing, okay, discharge the Shieldred on upkeep. And that's going to force Slavisa to activate the ring, and now Sims will Bowmaster in response to the ring activation. So, does sort of waste 2 mana, does Matt Sims, not getting the Bowmaster down before the Shieldred.
So he's choosing to go face. I kind of like going a little bit at the Shieldred instead of face to save some energy, because now we're at a point where Static Discharge is going to give back the Frog next turn. I don't know if that's going to be a big deal, but
gotta pay an energy, Matt.
Yeah. I don't know what the rules are specifically for not paying, but we need to go check on this.
It is a triggered ability. So
yeah, but it's just going to put it on the stack and he pays 1, but we should definitely do it. Terran.
Looks like we've got the City's Blessing now as well.
Just tell him to pause and go get a judge. It might be a infraction and greater than I think. All right. Well, we're gonna get the City's Blessing. Okay, he just didn't pay for the fucking. Sorry, my language. He just didn't pay for the Static Prison. He just needs to pay for it. But we need to get a judge because it's a mistrigger. My apologies on the language, folks. Just a little frustration here in the booth. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Well,
Oh, you're good. That's my fault. The only thing that happened was a mistrigger and me stepping in a puddle of mud. The thing about static discharge or static prison is that it happens during your first
Pre-combat main
pre-combat
phase.
main phase. It's really strangely templated, but I know that it is something that people miss all the time, and usually what ends up happening is the opponent just says, "Hey, pay the one," and then you pay the one. And since it is a trigger that goes on the stack, if you miss it, I believe the opponent can put it on the stack, but then you can still pay for it. It doesn't just die immediately by not paying for it, which honestly is not great. Personally, I'm in for max punishments when it comes to mistakes like that. Oh, you don't pay? Well, I get my thing back. That's the deal. I don't know.
That is an option. You can choose to sacrifice static prison.
Yeah. But not paying is not the same as choosing to sacrifice it. So it is just a mistrigger. See how the head judge wants to rule it, and we put it on the stack and we pay. All right, so we've done basically everything else. We attacked with some Ocelot Prides. We gained some life. We are getting the city's blessing and making some tokens. Hey, new sub from Brickmaster Flex. Appreciate you. But we're going to get, I think, two
Yeah.
tokens per Ocelot.
Yeah, because the first Ocelot Pride token will achieve the city's blessing. So then that will create another token. And then the second Ocelot Pride will make a token. And then we copy the other twos.
Just tell me how many kitty cats.
Or no, we'll copy. We're actually going to copy all three. So we should end up with 6 tokens.
That's a lot. Does it just proliferate? What is
It copies
building?
every token that entered the battlefield this turn.
Oh my.
So the first Ocelot Pride trigger resolves, creates a token that is the 10th 10th permanent, so that it gives Matt Sims the city's blessing. So then it will copy the one token that's entered the battlefield this turn. Then the second Ocelot Pride trigger goes to resolve, makes a token, says you have the city's blessing. We have to copy every token that's entered this turn, of which there are now 3.
Yeah, including the Orc army. Can you make another Orc army?
Yeah, but the Orc army didn't enter. Oh, yeah, that did enter this turn.
I think it did enter this turn. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. Huge battlefield now for Matt Sims. Slavisa's deck not really tuned to beat go wide strategies. Gonna need something like Murktide Regent. Here's Psychic Frog. Maybe Psychic Frog, in some high number here, able to get the job done. We'll see. Looks like we're immediately discarding something, so it looks like we're going to be casting a Murktide Regent this turn. There it is. And maybe we win the game next turn. The One Ring plus Psychic Frog plus a bunch of discards. We saw that happen earlier today already one time.
Is that only 5 tokens? I feel like we should have a 6th token and an Orc army.
Well, whatever. Sack the Static Prison, probably. These one-mana cards are getting out of control. Also Pride. Going wild. We got 3 blockers on Slavisa's side. Matt Sims, I don't know how hard he can punch through here for damage. And some chance that we lose the game next turn. Guide of Souls.
Would have liked that in play last turn.
Yeah, we would have gained a ton of life. Got a ton of energy.
Matt has a bunch of creatures on the battlefield, but they're all tiny. May need to give himself a turn or two to start amassing even more tokens with the Ocelot Pride.
Well, I think he's sending here now to make sure that the One Ring cannot be activated to draw multiple cards. So it looks like we're going to attack with everything except the Bowmaster. And that means we're going to take... Let's see. If we block 3, 4, 5, 6, we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down to 4. And then we can activate the One Ring one time, which I'm pretty into. And that blocks the most damage possible and allows us to do that. If we block the Ocelot Prides, we're going to be taking a little bit more damage than that. So 2 Ocelot Prides and probably the 3/3 Orc Army gets blocked, but maybe we block the 2/1 instead. And we take 8. I don't think we can win the game without using the 1 ring, so we may need to block differently here. Okay. So we got some life gain happening.
So I imagine the card pitch to the frog so the frog can block the raptor. Yeah, and the other 2 creatures block Ocelot Pride. This is still 8 damage coming across.
Oh, is this just dead to the ring? Are you sure it was 8, not 7? But the Bowmasters is there. Maybe we should block that Orc Army a little bit. Packs it in. Sisa defeated. Matt Sims takes game number 1 with a massive swarm from those Ocelot Prides. Nice little timing there with the Orcish Bowmaster against the 1 ring. I liked how he played that. Galvanic Discharge looking great as a 1-man answer to Shield Dread in combination with some of those energy. Did miss the energy off the Static Prism, taking the token away. Thought that was a potential mistake that could have been backbreaking at some point.
But really, it showed you the power of the low curve for Mardu energy.
Yes.
Matt Sims was able to get underneath Slavisa and
didn't even play a 1-drop that game though.
Without played 2 spells on turn 2 and then multiple spells basically every turn after that.
Yeah.
Was able to just go wide around what Slavisa was doing and make the counter spells look quite poor. And unlike the Jeskai control decks, there's no Wrath of the Skies to clean things up.
All right, well, as Slavisa goes to the sideboard to look for some help, I'm going to have Ross take a gander at that sideboard and give us his extra analysis on what he thinks Slavisa should bring in.
Well, first thing I'm looking for in Slavisa's sideboard is sweepers that he can bring in, and I see 3. 1 Damnation and 2 Toxic Deluge. Those will be coming in very quickly and are excellent additions to the deck. The rest of the sideboard, not as effective. He's got 3 copies of Break the Ice, 3 Consign to Memory, a Mystical Dispute, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, a Surgical Extraction, and 2 Stern Scolding, which I think will come in as well. Just another nice cheap answer will let Slavisa maintain parity on the early turns, so maybe he can land, a Murktide Region or a copy of the One Ring before he's under a lot of pressure from these cheap creatures.
All right. On the other side of the table, we have Matt Sims's Mardu Energy. What sideboard options does he have to attack this control deck, Ross?
Sims has a Gigantha as a companion. The other 14 cards are 3 Blood Moon, 1 Bone Crusher Giant, 1 Celestial Purge, 2 Damping Sphere, 1 Harsh Mentor, 2 Rakdos Charm, 2 Unlicensed Hearse, and 2 Wear Tear. I guess the Bone Crusher Giant comes in.
Yeah. Do you want some answers to the Frog? We got Celestial Purge, maybe. We got Harsh Mentor seems like a fun answer to the Frog.
I think Purge would be okay. It can also hit Shieldred or Orcish Bowmasters.
Yeah, I'm in.
But the rest I do not like very much. There's not enough graveyard stuff for me to want anything like Rakdos Charm or Unlicensed Hearse. And I don't think Blood Moon is effective. Slavisa actually has quite a few basics. 4 Island and a Swamp.
Is he the one playing the Prismatic Vista that we talked about earlier?
There's 1 Prismatic Vista.
Yeah, Blood Moon not terribly good against the Prismatic Vista deck, traditionally speaking.
So just a few changes here for the Mardu energy deck, but I don't think they should be overly sideboarding anyway, so that's not a big problem.
All right, as these players shuffle up here for game number 2, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to our sponsors for this weekend's festivities. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. It's a great restaurant to bring your family to watch some sports on the TV, get some chicken wings. It's usually a good time. Ross and I were there last night. Might go again tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much to SpiceRack.gg. SpiceRack is brand new tournament software. We've been working with the folks at SpiceRack for the last few events, and we really like their product, and we recommend it for those running tournaments. Thank you to Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is an industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies, from the Boulder deck box to the Katana sleeves. Ultimate Guard, it's got you covered. Check your local game store and ask for Ultimate Guard supplies today. And lastly, thanks to Ghost Energy. Ghost Energy keeps us hydrated and energized on these long tournament weekends. Big fan of the Tropical Mango. Gonna have me one in a minute, right before top 8. Players here shuffling up here for game number 2, about to be underway.
Slavisa going to be on the play here in game 2. That should help him out quite a bit as well.
Yep. Both players taking a quick mulligan, though.
Would love nothing more than to Orcish Bowmasters a turn 1 Ocelot Pride.
All right. All right, low resource game. Both players, let's say both players go to 5. Right now they're both on 6. But let's say both players go to 5. Who's advantage in a low resource game, Ross?
I would prefer the deck that is stronger going into the late game then, because a low resource game is unlikely to end as quickly, so Slavisa would be more advantaged by that. Still behind in the matchup, I think.
New sub, Scooney left. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Enjoy the no edge. All right, Matt Sims presents. We're just about ready. We did see Slavisa game 1 keep a 1 ring on top of the deck when he only had 2 lands. Hit back-to-back lands to find the necessary lands to cast the 1 ring. Ultimately, the 1 ring was kind of a liability in tandem with the opposing Orcish Bowmaster. We'll see if he has a little more respect for the Bowmaster this game.
You know, there's only so much respect you can pay. All the threats are threatening. You need to deal with Ocelot Pride. You need to deal with, Guide of Souls. You need to deal with a Johnny. You need to deal with Bowmasters. It's hard to deal with all of them.
Agreed. Unless you play Lightning Bolt and Galvanic Discharge.
You need the sweepers, and that's why Deluge and Damnation are going to be so important in these sideboarded games.
All right, looks like we're underway for game number 2. Slavisa on the play. Leads with Delta Go. Matt Sims, do you have the 1-drop? Shocks, plays, Guide of Souls. Pass it back.
That's the one you want, not vulnerable to the Bowmasters.
Fetch here from Slavisa on the instep. Let's see if he wants to get a land to attack the Guide of Souls or just surveil land. And it's under City Sewers. We're going to go looking at the top card. Are there Fatal Pushes in this Dimir deck?
There are. 4 copies.
Okay. All right, top card is, looks like a Misty Rain. Gonna put that into the grave. It wasn't a Misty Rainforest, but a land nonetheless. Gonna go back to Slavisa. Turn number 2. See a counterspell poking out there. Gonna pass it back. A lot of pretty foils on both sides of the table here. Here's a Marsh Flats. Passing of the turn, threatening Orcish Bowmaster. Let's see if Slavisa has the same. I'm going to go fetching again.
Orcish Bowmasters has become like Collected Company. Every time an aggro deck passes with 2 mana up, you know they didn't just have nothing.
Yeah, it's a little more disguised in the blue-black decks because of things like Counterspell, which is why I really like it in these Dimir, Murktide, Psychic Frog decks. I just like to be a little more lower to the ground, play more Murktides, try to end the game a little more quickly. The 1 ring vexes me in decks like this. So few ways to reset it, but I mean, it's the 1 ring. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's such a strong card.
Instead of trying to reset it, these decks are using Shieldred to undo it, or Psychic Frog to potentially race your own ring.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Discard my hand. I was trying to do that with Necro Dominance a couple weeks ago. Puts a ring in the grave. I think I saw Fatal Push, but maybe not. Or just maybe doesn't want to use it.
I see another ring in hand for Tassanovich.
Alright, Island go. No play on 3, but probably a handful of permission. Matt Sim's going to go fetching here with Marsh Flats. Let's see what the land is. See if we have Bowmaster or something to do with the mana.
Yeah, and even though those Bowmasters will likely trade for a counterspell, it's done good work forcing Tassanovich to tap mana on his own turn. So now Sims can untap with 3 mana against maybe only 1 and resolve a more important threat.
Here is the Bowmaster.
Maybe Tassanovich lets it resolve and saves the counterspell for later. But this is a difficult threat to answer with a 1-for-1 removal. Makes 2 bodies. It's going to give Sims 2 energy, get him very close to paying for a Guide of Souls trigger.
Maybe Slavisa has a Damnation and is just looking to do that to clean up next turn. I see a ring, I see a Shieldred, and I see a card that I can't quite tell what it is.
Could also have his own bowmasters that would take out Sims's copy.
Flage is the draw for Sims. Hand a static discharge, some lands. I think that's all.
Not a great hand.
No, we can main phase the Flage here to deal some damage, and that will give us a third energy, so we can maybe use Guide of Souls to put a little bit of extra pressure on our opponent. See if that's what Sims goes for. Looks like that is the play. Zap it! Bzz. Sisa down to 13. Iskama, thanks for the new sub. Appreciate you. Welcome to the Apex Predators.
Okay. I'm going to pump up the Orc army. Smart to put the tokens there since the army is the lowest value creature currently on the battlefield.
Alright, so we got ruling on this last round. So you pay the energy and then you target, and once you target, this Bowmaster can come down and zap it. And then we can block the other Orcish Bowmasters. Oh, he says that's fine. You can get your counters on your thing. I'm going to kill this Guide of Souls and this Orcish Bowmasters. Oh, please don't use your own dice. Oh, it's a flying counter. That's fine. I'll allow it.
Okay.
Looks like a feather anyway.
So, Dusanovich trades for the Guide, and the Bowmasters takes 3.
Okie dokie. Is it Shieldred time?
Could be One Ring time. Is it sadly miss your 4th land drop time?
Oh,
No,
so
we
you get a
gotta-
super take 3 damage time?
Little Soporific Springs.
I'm not. I thought that I liked Sink into Stupor, seeing it a couple times. The more I watch it, though, the more I just see it played as a land that deals you 3 damage. Frontside just not good enough most of the time. You gotta be, like, really aggressive to make it good, I think. Here's a ring. Here we go. I think we're down to 7 now, Slavisa from the Sink into Stupor, deal 3. Static discharge. We're going to go after the ring. See if Slavisa wants to draw a card in response. Any Orcish Bowmasters? Nope.
And that's a big static prison. Now the Shieldred not nearly as scary.
Ooh, nice follow-up too. Here is Johnny. Gonna make a 2-1.
Now, look at Tasanovich's hand right now. Multiple counter spells and hasn't had a single spot where he could utilize them effectively because Mardu energy is so low to the ground and gets out ahead of you, even in this game where Matt Sims was on the draw.
I agree with you a little bit, but I also know that Slavisa could have used Counterspell on Orcish Bowmasters on turn 2 and chose not to because he had his own Orcish Bowmasters to, interact with it. And his turn, where he played the Orcish Bowmasters, was phenomenal, Raucous Theater, a Shieldred. It's looking pretty tasty right now. See if we have any answer for it.
It's definitely still good. Sims is going to have to find an answer for it. Can still swing the cat token into it.
All right, can we check on life totals? I'm almost positive Slavisa took 3 from that Sink into Stupor, turned it into a land, and I would like it to be updated, please.
Okay. Surveil puts a Bowmasters into the graveyard. That's a Galvanic Discharge with 2 energy left over. Oh. We're at 1? Oh, we have to pay for the Static Prison. Okay. Oh, man. Oh. Is he thinking about not paying it?
Yeah, I mean, that does let him kill the Shieldred.
I mean, I would rather just attack into the Shieldred and... Oh, it has Aether Hub. So we can kill the Shieldred, make an attack for 6, and then you don't even care about the One Ring next turn.
Right. Doesn't give the protection ability when it comes back, and can't really draw cards when you're at 1. Yeah, I like just kill the shoulder and get in there. Puts Slavisa to 1. You know, this is one of the reasons why, if you recall earlier, Ryan Hayes actually cited out Counterspell against the energy deck. And here we're seeing why.
Not sure what Sims is thinking about.
I think the thing you were talking about where he just doesn't really want to give him the ring back, but I'm on your side. I don't think the ring
Yeah.
is a big deal anymore.
He might not be aware that the ring only grants protection when you cast it.
That's fair. All right. It spends all the energy. Now, we make a big attack. 3, 4, 5, 6. Slavisa down to 1. We don't have energy to bring back the Flage, but we can buy the Gigantha. Your turn. Draw us
Now
your turn.
I think it's got to be Damnation.
Think it's nothing. And Slavisa packs it in. Matt Sims moves to 5 and 1. Very likely going to be moving to our elimination rounds, assuming he's able to draw next round. Not a guarantee, but likelihood.